Imagine this, you're 27, planning on one of the biggest days of your life, your wedding. But instead of celebrating, you're dealing with backhanded comments, public Facebook shade, and a 40-year-old sister-in-law who seems hell-bent on making you miserable. This is not some random drama. This is the real-life story of TikToker Sarah, known as Sarah Ruth with 6 H's, who decided to uninvite her own brother and his wife from her wedding. And the reasons, let's just say it is deeper, pettier, and way uglier than you think. Sarah kicks off a story by explaining that her relationship with her sister-in-law has been rocky for over a decade. Yep. 10 long years of walking on eggshells, dodging subtle shade, and trying to keep the peace. For context, Sarah is 27 years old. Her brother and sister-in-law have been married for 18 years and are both in their 40s. Their eldest child, almost below 18 now. So yeah, the age gap has always been there. The main issue, her sister-in-law flat out refuses to accept that Sarah is no longer a child. She still treats her like that little 8-year-old girl she first met when she married Sarah's brother. And it's not subtle either. Her sister-in-law has literally told her to her face, it is hard not to see you as that 8-year-old. And while, okay, that's somewhat understandable in a nostalgic way, the problem is she never outgrew that view. Instead of adjusting to the fact that Sarah is a grown woman building her own life, her sister-in-law just kept treating her like a little kid, talking down to her, dismissing her opinions, acting like she couldn't make her own decisions. It was exhausting. But the real slap in the face came from a Facebook post. Oh, it was shady. Her sister-in-law went online and posted something like, "Aunts are so important in a child's life. Too bad the only aunts who actually choose to be in my kids' lives aren't even blood related." Sarah saw that and was like, "Oh, so that's how you really feel?" It wasn't just a post. It was a direct hit, a public dig.
So this is a story of why my brother and his wife are not invited to our wedding this summer. So the relationship with my sister-in-law has been really rocky. Basically the last, I would say, like 10 years. I'm 27, she's in her 40s, early 40s. They've been together for 18 years. My oldest niece is almost 18. So when they got together, I was really young, and she's just never been able to recognize that I'm an adult and can make my own decisions now. She said to me at one point that it's hard for her to not see an 8-year-old anymore, which, to her credit, I can understand that to a point. But instead of trying to have a relationship with me as an adult, she has only ever treated me like a child. And really this decision was made after my sister-in-law posted on Facebook something that was just super hateful and obviously geared toward my sister and I. The post said something about aunts being so important in nieces and nephews' lives, and too bad that the only aunts in her kids' lives that choose her children are not blood relatives. And that was my final straw of being publicly embarrassed by her, I guess. And for the record, my brother's been in the military his whole, basically my whole life, and they've never lived in the same state as us. And when they got together was 18 years ago, so I was a literal child and I couldn't choose to go where they were. They didn't come here very often, so it's not like they lived down the street and we just choose not to see them. Okay, there's so much to this story. I was really hoping I could get it down to the nitty-gritty, but go to the next part to hear about wedding dress shopping, my dad being in emergency surgery, and family group texts.
And the crazy part? Context matters so much here. Her brother has been in the military practically Sarah's whole life. They've never lived in the same state. Sarah was literally a child when her niece was born. How was she, an 8-year-old, supposed to be the picture-perfect aunt when they barely saw each other? It wasn't like she could hop on a plane or drive cross-country whenever she wanted. But instead of acknowledging that, the sister-in-law chose to shame her publicly on Facebook, knowing fully well that the circumstances were never in Sarah's control. And honestly, that was the moment Sarah realized this wasn't just harmless family tension. This was real intentional disrespect. Now, here's where things get wild and honestly sad on a whole new level. Sarah and her fiancé made the thoughtful choice to have their wedding in Mexico. It wasn't random or impulsive, it was about fairness. Both families lived in completely different states, meaning someone was always going to have to travel far. Mexico was neutral ground. Not only that, but it was cost effective and gave everyone a chance to enjoy a vacation while celebrating. Plus, Sarah and her fiance were covering everything: the flights, the rooms, the food. Nobody had to spend a penny. This wasn't just a wedding, it was a gift to their loved ones. And to make things even easier, they gave everyone a year's notice, a whole 12 months to plan, prepare, and get everything in order. But the moment Sarah sent the invite to her brother and sister in law, the response was instant. No hesitation, no fake consideration. Her sister in law just said, "Yeah, we're not coming. No, let me check. No, maybe." Just a flat out no, period. Naturally, Sarah tried to be understanding. She asked, "Is it the money? Is it the travel? Is there something we can help with?" Being open, being kind, being helpful. But instead of being met with honesty, she got a grocery list of excuses that made zero sense. Every excuse was emptier than the other. And deep down, Sarah knew this wasn't about the destination. Her sister-in-law simply did not want to come.
So the drama really started when we decided to not have our wedding here, to have our wedding in Mexico. And I didn't think that anyone was really going to be upset about that because there was over a year of notice. And we let everyone know this is a really big ask, and we understand that it's a destination wedding. And even though it seems pretty affordable, that it's not realistic for everybody. And when I told my brother and his wife, she immediately, without even hesitation or thinking, said, "We're not going to be able to come." And when I asked, like, why is it money? What is it? And she just had every reason in the book to say that they couldn't be there. And that was really disappointing to me because my brother's one of my favorite people in the world. And that was just really hard. And
despite the rejection, Sarah still extended an olive branch. She invited her sister-in-law and her nieces to join her for her very first wedding dress shopping trip. A core memory moment. Something sacred. But here's the wild part. Sarah was so anxious about her sister-in-law's unpredictable behavior that she showed up at a bridal shop early. She literally warned the employees in advance, "Hey, just a heads up, my sister-in-law might act out. Just be prepared." And honestly, that was the smartest thing she could have done. Because the moment Sarah casually mentioned her wedding destination while stepping out in her first dress, her sister-in-law snapped, "Oh, you're still doing that? Well, yeah, we're definitely not coming." And yo, the way she said it, no smile, no softness, just straight up disgust in her tone. The vibe completely dead, gone, killed in on the spot. And guess what? It only went downhill from there. At one point, Sarah slipped into a dress she knew wasn't her choice, just for laughs. She playfully said, "I look like a linebacker in this." It was a harmless, self-deprecating joke. But her sister-in-law, oh, she was waiting for a moment like this. She looked straight into the mirror, locked eyes with Sarah, without skipping a beat, said, "You don't look like a linebacker. You look like a prepubescent. You look like a prepubescent little boy. It does absolutely nothing for you." Can you imagine, on what should have been one of the happiest days of her life, a day meant for laughter and joy with her mom, her sister, and her nieces, Sarah got verbally gutted by someone who was supposed to be family. Sarah broke right there. She ran straight into the dressing room, locked the door, and completely melted down into tears. And bless the store employee, she followed her, hugged her tightly, and said, "I am so sorry you're going through this. You don't deserve any of it."
that was just really hard and really disappointing. But that's not even the big deal. The big deal was I thought that there was a chance that they would still go, and they were in town, and I planned a trip, wedding dress shopping, for the very first time with my sister-in-law and my nieces, because I really thought that it would be a fun experience to share with them. I was so excited. It was me, my mom, my sister, my sister-in-law, and then my two nieces. And we get to the store. I got there early, and just because I know her, I literally had to get there to apologize to the poor girl that was working that day ahead of time, because I did not know what my sister-in-law's behavior was going to be like. That in itself, I feel like should be really telling, and I should have known better, but I was right in apologizing ahead of time. So the very first dress I put on, it had a big train, and I told the girl, you know, I don't really think I want a big train because we're getting married in Mexico, and I just don't want to have to worry about sand and dirt and whatever. And my sister-in-law literally looks up. I'm in a wedding dress standing on the little pedestal, and she goes, "So you're still planning on doing that?" And all I said was, "Yep." And she said, "Well, we're not going to be there." And my heart just started racing because I really didn't want any kind of confrontation or conflict. And so I just went and tried on another dress, and the girl was like, "You were right. That was rough." And that was so embarrassing to me. I seriously was dying.
This day was supposed to be joyful, a beautiful, precious memory, but thanks to her sister in law's cruelty, it became a day burned into Sarah's memory for all the wrong reasons. But wait, it gets worse, way worse. After breaking the wedding dress shopping trip, her sister in law did not stop there. Nope. She shifted gears and went for the one person Sarah never expected, her own sister. What started out as a normal wedding convo was like, what colors are you thinking? Or how is the guest list coming along? Slowly started turning into sneaky, manipulative traps. Her sister-in-law started asking shady questions like, so, how much is Sarah spending on all of this? Or, don't you think it's a bit selfish expecting everyone to travel that far just for a wedding? It started off subtle. You wouldn't even catch it at first. But over time, it became clear this wasn't just curiosity. This was planting seeds, little digs here and there, designed to make Sarah's sister question her, doubt her, and low-key resent her.
Number one, my mom and sister were there dress shopping, and they fully backed me up. They fully talked to my sister-in-law and just told her that, if she was upset, then at the dress store was not the time or the place to portray that and act that way. And if she couldn't handle herself, then she was going to have to go. Two, I did invite her dress shopping, knowing her personality type. And that was really meant to have something fun that we did together, share something special together. At the time, there was still a chance that they would maybe attend the wedding. My brother had said they'd see what they could work out. So nothing was definite until we were dress shopping and she made the comment that they wouldn't be there. It's important to note that my sister-in-law and my sister have always been really tight. They've always just had a really different relationship than she and I have, and that's great and that's fine. But what really changed things was when all of their daily conversations started turning into asking questions about the wedding, asking what my plans were, and then turning those answers that were seemingly harmless into trying to talk badly about me, about my fiance, about the wedding, anything she could do to almost, it felt like, have two separate teams and try to get people in on her team. And I was not okay with that.
And guess what? It started working. Sarah's sister slowly began pulling back. Their daily convos got shorter. She went from being excited and supportive to cold, passive, and distant. Things that used to be easy and fun now felt heavy, awkward, and full of tension. It wasn't just obvious to Sarah, it was obvious to everyone around them. The vibe completely off. The sister-in-law was now poisoning her relationship with her own flesh and blood. Meanwhile, Sarah's brother, completely clueless, like not a single clue in the world. The man had no idea that what was brewing behind the scenes. So finally, after weeks of this chaos, Sarah hit her breaking point. She grabbed her phone, took a deep breath, and called him. And she did not hold back. She laid it all out, every ugly detail. The shady Facebook post, the humiliating dress shop meltdown, the nasty group chats, and how his wife was now dragging her own sister into the mess. His reaction? Pure shock. He couldn't believe it. He was hurt, embarrassed, and absolutely mortified that things had spiraled this far without him knowing. He apologized over and over, telling Sarah that this should have never happened.
At that point, you're trying to make my sister a pawn and play her in all directions, and she was not okay with that, and I am not okay with that. And that's really when I started to lose patience. Number three, my brother had no clue any of this went down. He had no information from her, no information from me. No one told him what happened or what was going on. And up until I think it was September, that I had had enough of passive aggressive comments, posts, a bunch of stuff, that I finally called him and said, we need to have a really big conversation. Before talking to my brother, I talked to my fiance, and he knew everything that I was frustrated about and hurt and upset about. And along the same lines, he knew where my family was frustrated and was struggling. And I just told him, I think I need to be done with this and not have to worry about it anymore. And I think the decision to not send them anything, not talk to them about the wedding, just totally separate them from the wedding is going to be the right thing to do. And he agreed, and he said, you need to talk to your brother. And so I called him, and I was so nervous. And I'm going to summarize the phone call because it was actually, it was probably 2 hours in length, top to bottom. but I asked what I had done to receive the treatment that I was receiving from his wife and not hearing from him, and what did I do, what is so upsetting to create this kind of animosity. And he had no idea what I was talking about. I told him about the Facebook posts, the family group text messages, wedding dress shopping, and he had no idea about any of it. So at this point, he was super apologetic, and I could tell that he really didn't know what was going on. And he started asking about wedding details that we hadn't sent to him, and I got really, really nervous. And I had to tell him, I would love for you to be there, and you're my family, and you're important to me, but your wife is not welcome.
And then came the moment, the hard one, the conversation no sibling ever wants to have. Sarah told him straight, listen, I love you, you're my brother, but your wife, she's not welcome at my wedding. Not after everything she's done. I can't have her there ruining my day. And to her surprise, he did not argue, not even a little. He said, I'll be there no matter what. I'm sorry you had to go through this, and I'll do what I can to fix it. He understood fully, and honestly, that was the one piece of relief Sarah needed in the entire mess. Since then, Sarah went completely no contact with her sister-in-law, blocked her on every platform, Facebook, Instagram, phone, everything. No texts, no calls, not even a wave at family events, nothing. She cut her out entirely and hasn't looked back. And guess what? She says without hesitation that it is the best decision she has ever made in her life. 10 exhausting years of trying to make this relationship work, trying to be the bigger person, trying to hold on to hope. It's all gone, wiped clean. And honestly, good riddance. No more walking on eggshells, no more fake smiles, just peace. Her brother, though, he's still very much in her life. They've maintained their bond, kept the sibling relationship strong. But when it comes to their sister-in-law, she's done. Permanently erased from Sarah's world. And you know what? It was absolutely the right move. Yo, this story is an absolute mess, but it's also a real eye-opener because here's the truth. Family isn't just about blood. It is about who respects you, who celebrates your wins, and who shows up for you emotionally, mentally, and physically. It's about those who don't belittle you or freeze you in a version of yourself that no longer exists. Like being treated like you're still that 80-year-old girl when you're clearly a grown-up woman. This story is a reminder that setting boundaries is not cruel. Protecting your space and peace is not selfish. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away, even from family, when the relationship becomes toxic, draining, and straight up disrespectful. But real talk, y'all. Let's unpack this together. Was Sarah right to finally cut off ties with her brother's wife after years of disrespect, manipulation, and just downright cruelty? Or do you think she overreacted? Was this her drawing healthy boundaries, or was there any part of this where she could have handled it differently? And let's really talk about the sister-in-law. Was she bitter from the jump? Jealous of Sarah's growth? Or was this deep-rooted insecurity that spiraled out of control over the years? Drop your thoughts down in the comments because I need to know where you all stand on this. And don't forget to hit that like button, smash subscribe, and stick around because baby, this level of family drama, it is far from over.